I am very honored to announce to you that you are Employee of the Month, huh? Anyway, congratulations. It wasn't easy picking a winner.
In a season-defining game, Newcastle United showed resilience, as Alexander Isak delivered under immense pressure with an 89th-minute penalty to earn a crucial point. So from the Eddie Howe tactical response to the most overlooked need that could break or make Newcastle's future. Plus, we'll also discuss the recent Fabrizio Romano transfer exclusive. As per, join us as we'll break it all down and discuss the 5 things we learned from Brighton and Hove Albion 1 Newcastle United 1.
Let's go!
So starting off, the biggest takeaway from this one isn't just the scoreline. It's an underrated but increasingly urgent issue that's gone under the radar. Newcastle urgently need midfield reinforcements. We all know Newcastle's need for a right winger. Newcastle actually entered this game as the team with the highest percentage of shots from the left wide area of the box, 13.92%, and that pattern held. Harvey Barnes had the most shots in the game, playing from the left. He won the free kick that led to the penalty. When Anthony Gordon came off the bench, also operating from the left, he immediately made an impact, nearly winning a penalty of his own. It's clear, Newcastle's left side is dominant. Now contrast that with the right. With a 6.6 match rating, Jacob Murphy started there, and struggled. His stats tell the story. 0 key passes, 0 accurate crosses, and only 1 of 4 ground duels won. With no one impactful on the bench for that side, Newcastle looked unbalanced. What made this imbalance even starker? Former Newcastle player and Brighton right winger, Yankuba Minteh scored again against his old club, this time cutting inside from the right and finishing clinically. When Barnes swapped sides in the second half, he found himself in similar situations, but couldn't replicate Minteh's finish. Barnes is naturally right-footed, and it showed. His efforts lacked power and direction. That right wing issue? It's real, and it's hurting. A player like Brentford's Bryan Mbeumo, who thrives cutting in from the right, could provide the balance Newcastle desperately need. Barnes and Gordon have the left locked down, but the right? It's calling out for quality. Then there's midfield. Yes, Sandro Tonali looks sharp. With a 7.3 match rating, 73 touches, and 83% passing accuracy, 5 out of 5 duels won, 0 fouls committed, winning 4, 3 interceptions, 1 tackle and 0 times dribbled past, helping Newcastle defensively. If Tonali hadn't stepped up defensively, Newcastle could have lost. Despite Tonali's masterclass, the Joelinton injury continues to be a problem. Willock played, but he lacked impact. 0 key passes, no physical presence and often falling to ground. Bruno was also less influential in his midfield role. Despite playing the full 90 minutes, he struggled to impose himself with the usual authority that defines his performances. With a 6.9 match rating, his heat map reflects scattered involvement, showing less sustained presence in key central areas, suggesting he was unable to dictate tempo or build sustained attacking phases. While he did try to be involved in multiple zones, this seemed more reactive than influential. His 83% passing success rate, 29 out of 35, is solid on paper, but it came with minimal risk or progression. With just 2 key passes and no accurate crosses or shots blocked, Bruno failed to create meaningful chances or stretch Brighton's defensive shape. Even his 3 long balls, although accurate, didn't change the game's rhythm or break lines. These figures point toward a cautious and ineffective display, lacking the incisive edge needed from a midfielder of his caliber. Defensively, while he engaged in 12 ground duels, he only won 5, a rate that reflects Newcastle's wider issue of losing second balls and midfield battles. His inability to win any of his 3 dribble attempts further illustrates a lack of sharpness in one-on-one scenarios. Additionally, losing possession 12 times in a match where control was essential highlights some poor decision-making and carelessness on the ball. In short, Bruno mirrored a Newcastle side that seemed a step slow in both thought and execution. And here's the issue. Beyond Tonali, Bruno, and Joelinton, there's only Lewis Miley. What if one of the first-choice 3 is suspended or injured like Joelinton now, or even be out of form like Bruno in this game? If Tonali is unavailable for any reason, placing Bruno in the defensive midfield limits his effectiveness. Relying on the likes of Longstaff at this stage, given the quality of other teams around Newcastle, would be a step backward. Newcastle might have a top starting midfield on paper, but depth is lacking, and that's dangerous. All in all, this match highlighted 2 key points. First, the right wing is in urgent need of reinforcement. More importantly, however, the lack of midfield depth, often overlooked, could significantly derail the season if not addressed, particularly with European competition on the horizon. Then the second thing we learned was the Eddie Howe tactical response. In this game, Eddie Howe's tactical acumen became most apparent in the second half, where his adjustments shifted the game's momentum firmly in Newcastle's favour. During the first half, Brighton held a slight edge in control and structure. They pressed higher up the pitch with intensity and maintained a compact shape in possession. Their defensive line remained high, allowing them to keep Newcastle contained and limit their passing options in the middle third. Despite this, Brighton failed to turn their structured possession into tangible goal-scoring opportunities, ending the first half with only 5 shots and a modest 0.62 xG only. Recognizing the need for more direct influence, Howe implemented crucial changes at halftime. Newcastle emerged with a far more aggressive pressing setup, evident in the significant drop in their PPDA, passes per defensive action, and increased pressing intensity. Their defensive structure became more assertive, allowing them to force turnovers higher up the pitch and disrupt Brighton's build-up. At the same time, their defensive line adjusted to become more compact without retreating entirely, maintaining shape while improving transition efficiency. A key shift was seen in Newcastle's improved transitional play and speed of attack. Howe encouraged faster vertical movement following recoveries, which is reflected in the increased direct speed and higher pressing intensity metrics post-halftime. Newcastle recovered the ball more frequently and higher up the pitch, translating to greater expected threat momentum and more time spent in Brighton's half. Their possession rose to 54%, and they achieved a significant field tilt of 61.5%, pinning Brighton deep for much of the second period. Despite these improvements, Newcastle's major flaw remained their decision-making in the final third. They generated 13 shots and an XG of 1.75, nearly 3 times Brighton's total, but struggled to convert dominance into goals. Many of their attempts came from suboptimal angles or lacked the final pass quality to create clear-cut chances. The volume of passes into the box was high, yet often poorly executed or mistimed. These inefficiencies in execution nullified the tactical superiority they enjoyed in the latter stages of the match. Ultimately, Eddie Howe's second-half adjustments reshaped the game's tempo and flow, enabling Newcastle to dominate both statistically and territorially. However, their inability to make decisive choices in and around the box left them with only a point to show for a performance that, with sharper attacking play, could have yielded far more. Then, although Eddie Howe's tactical setup showed solid structure and resilience, particularly in how Newcastle managed periods of pressure, however, one decision stood out as overly cautious: the substitution of Callum Wilson. This appearance was notably underwhelming. He registered just 5 touches, managed 1 off-target shot, and failed to assert any meaningful attacking presence in his 16 minutes on the pitch. His limited involvement and passive positioning, evident from his heat map, suggest a substitution more rooted in routine than strategic ambition. In contrast, introducing William Osula could have offered a more progressive option. Osula has consistently displayed intensity, directness, and an eye for goal, particularly from the right flank. Given the game's stagnant rhythm, his inclusion might have injected the energy and unpredictability needed to shift the dynamic in Newcastle's favour. Meanwhile, Alexander Isak delivered another commanding performance, reinforcing his status as Newcastle's offensive linchpin. Despite minimal service and the psychological disruption of 2 reversed penalties, Isak maintained composure to eventually convert from the spot, securing a crucial point. Beyond the goal, he was Newcastle's most productive forward, creating 3 key passes and finishing with an 0.91 xG. His season tally of 23 Premier League goals not only highlights his consistency, but also marks the highest return by a Newcastle player since Alan Shearer's 2003-04 campaign. Isak's broader league impact is underlined by the fact that his 54 Premier League goals surpassed the combined tallies of fellow countrymen Kulusevski, Elanga, and even Ibrahimovic in their English spells. Ultimately, the match underscored the dual narrative of Newcastle's attacking setup, the brilliance of Isak, and the missed opportunity to make a braver substitution. For a club striving to break into the top tier, trusting youth and hunger over familiarity might be the tactical risk worth taking. Then moving in an injury update. As Fabian Schär delivered a solid performance in Newcastle United's 1-1 draw against Brighton, earning a 7.5 match rating. He played 89 minutes before being substituted in stoppage time for Sven Botman. Schär's heat map revealed a heavy presence on the right side of central defense, with frequent movements into midfield areas, showcasing his active involvement in both defending and ball progression. His passing was particularly efficient, completing 60 out of 67 attempts, 90% accuracy, and he frequently initiated attacks with 13 long balls, 9 of which were successful. Defensively, Schär was dependable, registering 3 clearances, 2 tackles, and 1 interception. Importantly, he was not dribbled past once during the game, underlining his solid positioning and awareness. In aerial duels, he was especially dominant, winning all 6 contested headers. Interestingly, his expected goals, XG value, stood at 0.30, a notable figure for a centre-back, suggesting he posed a threat during set pieces or ventured forward at key moments. However, there was concern following his substitution, with manager Eddie Howe revealing after the match that Schär was limping. While it's unclear whether this was due to cramp or a more serious muscle issue, the timing is worrying ahead of Newcastle's upcoming clash against Chelsea. With only goal difference separating the two sides and just 3 games left in the season, Schär's availability could be crucial. Although Botman is nearing full fitness and can serve as a replacement, Schär's experience and distribution would be a significant loss if he is ruled out. Then in some transfer developments. Interest in Liverpool's young centre-back Jarell Quansah is intensifying as uncertainty grows regarding his long-term role at Anfield. According to Fabrizio Romano, via his exclusive Give Me Sport newsletter, the 22-year-old has attracted attention from Premier League side Newcastle United, as well as several Bundesliga clubs, despite Liverpool not actively seeking to offload him this summer. Although Quansah remains a valued prospect at the club, his limited playing time under new manager Arne Slot could prompt a move. With established defenders like Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahima Konate ahead of him in the pecking order, the England under-21 international has found opportunities scarce, registering only 11 starts across all competitions this season, just 2 of which came in the Premier League. Romano notes that while Liverpool are not pushing for a sale, there is real interest in the player, and a transfer remains on the table as the summer window approaches. It's a possibility. It's not Liverpool trying to sell him, but the player is attracting interest with Newcastle and German clubs keen. As such, Newcastle's interest highlights their intent to strengthen their defensive options with young, high-potential talent, while German clubs have also reportedly been monitoring Quansah's situation. Quansah's rise last season under Jurgen Klopp saw him make 33 appearances, largely stepping up in the absence of an injury-plagued Ibrahima Konate. His performances earned him significant praise, with some hailing him as an absolute monster at the back. Now with 56 senior appearances, 3 goals, and 3 assists to his name, he has proven his ability to perform at the highest level. Yet his development hinges on consistent minutes, which may be more accessible away from Merseyside. Liverpool's expected activity in the transfer market, particularly in defence, could further complicate Quansah's role, with reports suggesting that Trent Alexander-Arnold is preparing for a move to Real Madrid. The Reds are likely to undergo a defensive reshuffle, potentially making Quansah's position even more precarious. The coming weeks will be crucial for both player and club, as interest grows and decisions loom ahead of the transfer window's opening. Then finally, in an exciting development, if you would like to know Newcastle's secret video call with new potential signing that has been recently revealed, click the video link on screen now.